On today's edition of Kelly & Company, I wouldn't call myself an artist, he said, but folks, Ryan Rosario, the mouth painter from Connecticut, is one heck of a talent. He even does custom work. You got to check this stuff out. Also today on the show, does your home need a refresh? Designer Stacie Steadman shares her hunter-gatherer approach to revitalize your living space. Time for us to get cracking.
This is Kelly & Company.
Thanks for being with us as we work our way through the Wednesday edition of the program. Ramya Muthan, right there. Hello, Ram.
Hello. Good afternoon as we tape now.
Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon.
Nisreen Abdel-Majid right there. Nisreen's fighting what the big topic is that we've all had to deal with since working from home. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Fire alarm.
Yes, yes. So if you hear
We
it
heard it,
ringing,
though?
I apologize.
We heard it ringing, and it doesn't sound as obnoxious as some of the fire alarms out there, including my own.
It's so obnoxious, trust me.
Really?
I
It
feel
was just
like on the
beep.
call, it doesn't sound as... It's so
Yeah.
loud, and even we have a building across from us, and we can hear their alarm. So it's actually so annoying.
Okay, it's out there.
It's loud. Yeah.
My desk used to be, when we first started doing the show, right by the alarm, and I've recently learned how it can be muted, but it doesn't stay muted when they're doing their testing. Maybe during an actual legitimate fire, if something was going on and it had been pulled, maybe it would, but they can just be so darn, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
and it's the
the
testing.
worst. Yeah,
That's worse.
And the worst is when there's a fire alarm at like 3 o'clock in the morning for God knows how long. So I don't mind at this time, maybe not during the show, but at least it's during the day. But imagine at 3 o'clock in the morning, all you hear is an obnoxious alarm. You're gonna wake up cranky. That's
Well,
for
and you're
sure.
stuck right now because you'll hear the alarm, and if you've got to get out of your building, where we are right now, well, a good chunk of North America is sub-zero freezing cold. So you're pouring yourself outside, and you're like, that's got to be awful till they come along and give an all clear and stuff like that. I think it is that thing that really proves you do have to be ready just in case something happens and you got to get out of there, whether there's a legit fire, if it's just an alarm and everything's clear. It's awful, right?
It's happened before. Yeah. I've actually fallen out of bed. I was at a not a retreat. I know.
See?
It started with the,
I didn't laugh out loud.
That's how it started.
Listen, I didn't laugh out loud. At least I just smiled where she couldn't know I was laughing at her.
You know, the point is, I do want to put out there that, obviously the point is that you're not supposed to sleep through your fire alarm and your smoke alarm, right? That's the point. But honestly, I was in a completely unfamiliar place on these, those rubber beds, Kel, that you sleep in when you're at these outdoor education centers and stuff.
Like an air
if
mattress,
it's a gurney
right?
or a monoclip. Yeah, it's just horrible. Anyway, so you're getting the worst night of sleep of your night, and then the fire alarm goes off, and I had no idea. My body was in absolute shock, and I just rolled out of bed, collapsed on the floor. I didn't know what was happening. It took like 2 minutes or several of the fire alarm sounds for me to understand where I was, what was going on, and what I should do.
So you just
next.
stayed on the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening. It was a complete panic.
Well, fire alarms have changed so much
we were
too,
only there
though,
for
in the
3
sound,
nights.
right? Because and a lot of alarms now, there's
Yes.
different sounds for different things, and that really can be confusing. Like I don't know, I just want to hear something that just basically screams, "Get out! Get out!
Like every single
Get
time.
out!"
Oh my God.
Also, the lights go off too, right? They have blaring lights, I'm assuming, that come with nowadays, especially if you're deaf or hard of hearing.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of that can be definitely.
That's a nice
good
feature.
sign.
If it's an emergency, but at the same time,
Yes.
it is.
I
so
can't see
obnoxious.
enough
just shock.
anymore. I don't think it'll bother me anymore.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't know. I don't have enough vision left to know that. It'd be like, what? Oh, wow. And when they say, well, just follow the lights, they'll help you. I remember that even as a kid. What? And I'd go looking for the doors that had the exit sign above them, just so, okay.
Right.
And because I didn't understand, I said, what signs? And people said, above the doors.
Exactly.
But when the lights were all on, I had no idea.
Too dim.
If you want to check out some of our content, visit YouTube. We post some things there related to the show. Of course, you can find us on social media. You can call us, leave messages. We'll give you all that information very shortly as we work our way through today's edition of the program. Afraid of getting sick this flu season, or just overall getting sick again? I know I am. Here to help us handle the season is Travis Nightingale, a registered nurse for 14 years with 10 years between ICU and ER practice. Now, folks, please, let's welcome our newest contributor to the show, referred to by our former registered nurse for the show, Leslie, Travis Nightingale. Welcome, Travis.
Hey, how are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. I just gave a little
Fingers
bit about...
crossed.
Yeah, that's right. Is that on our newest and hopefully longest running new tendered in maybe a few years to come? Maybe we can say that. Travis, tell us some more about yourself. I gave a little bit, but tell us a little more of things you might want us to know.
I think you got most of it. No, so I've been a nurse for I graduated in 2011, which feels not that long ago, but I'm like one of the oldest nurses around now. It's just a really weird world how the culture's changed so much. But I've spent the majority of my time in ICU and in ER. And so most recently in the emergency department for the last 4 years, in 2 GTA hospitals, South Lake and then Cordelucci Vaughan Hospital.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and the ERs, especially at this time, you start seeing all of the, the cold and flu season. It just ramps up all of a sudden, and the emergency department just full of sick, snotty kids everywhere. And especially when kids started going back to school, back to daycares, you started seeing a lot of that.
Then you come on our show and have to put up with snotty hosts. Travis,
we're socially distanced, though.
That's exactly. I hope down the way, maybe we can get some comparison, just things out of you, some thoughts of different locations. We hear so much about ER departments that are closed at times and the impact that has in different parts of Canada right now as an actual thing that happens that, not too many years ago you would have never heard of happening that are there, but just different lifestyle things too. I hope you'll be able to bring to the table with us. But today let's talk about our colds and flus because we're kind of always wondering how to handle this stuff on our own. That's what most of us would like to do, or when we should get our butts to the ER. And parents, that's probably the biggest question and thing that they've got to know, how to treat their kids at home or when to rush them to the ER.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think for young, healthy people like the majority of us, a cold is little more than a nuisance. I know for myself, I'll get like a sore throat for like 12 hours and then I'm just congested for a long time, and that's pretty much it. So flu season really isn't too terrifying for young, healthy adults. And the truth is 80 to 90% of respiratory illnesses are viral in nature. And so I know we always heard this. You go to the doctor and they're like, oh, there's nothing we can do. It's a virus. But it is the truth that 80 to 90%, just like COVID, it was a virus. There's no direct treatment for it. Our body just has to let it run its course. So that's the majority of us are just going to have, kind of the nuisance of sickness and not really need medical attention. And so if you have a sore throat, you have a cough, you go to the emergency department, there's nothing they can do for you. So for the majority of it, that is, it's the home remedies, get rest, get your fluid, sleep as much as you want, lay on the couch all day if you have to, just recover. Don't feel bad about that. But for, the majority of us young, healthy people, it's little more than a nuisance. But when it comes to kids who don't have that strong immune system yet, it is a bit of a process for them to get that immune system. And the way they get that immune system is from being sick. We can, they say 7 to 10 days is typically how long you should expect your symptoms to last. So now if you're getting symptoms beyond that 7 to 10 days, probably a good idea to go talk to your family doctor first, just to see if you can present with a viral infection that then becomes a bacterial infection. You can get a strep throat or something like that, which you can actually treat with antibiotics. Otherwise, fever is one of the things that comes with sickness, and it's just Tylenol. You go to the hospital, it's the same Tylenol they have there. So just with those simple symptoms, your congestion, your body aches, your cough, mild fever under 38, under 39 degrees, you're treating it with your Tylenol at home, your rest, your recovery, that sort of thing. It's kind of we've been heard it since we were kids, and we just don't want to believe it's true. And we're like, I feel so miserable. I want them to be able to do something to fix me. And there's nothing to do with, pretty simple viral infections.
It's the panic that sets in. I guess the pandemic has a big role to play, and we can get deeper into that rabbit hole as well. But, there's this, I know for sure that people don't feel as comfortable just being like, it's a cold, I'm just sick. I need to rest it off anymore. A lot more people are like, oh gosh, what could this be? Could this be A, B, C, D, E, F? And the list keeps going on. And the more you think it could be something that isn't a cold, the more you're like, I got to get checked out. And you worry. For example, like you're talking about the 7 to 10 days that symptoms may last that feels kind of normal or average or should be for a viral infection. But a lot more people are talking about lingering symptoms and especially coughs and all this stuff. So do you have any kind of caveats?
The only thing, like some of this is just anecdotal experience, is while your viral infection, the actual virus in the body that's causing you to be sick, that may have run. It doesn't mean you don't have other things. And I've heard people, since they've been sick and they still have that nagging cough or that nagging congestion, and typically those things just have to run its course. But I remember even during COVID, I was working in the emergency department during COVID, and people they wanted to know if they had COVID, even though there was nothing for us to do for it at that point. Like if you required oxygen, if your oxygen was too low, we can supplement your oxygen and that sort of thing. Or people who needed obviously way more significant help with intubation or like high flow oxygen and that sort of thing. But a lot of people, they would come and they were like, I want to know what it is. And then you find out what it is, and then you just go home anyways. It's really, it's no different. But you're right, there's that fear, and it really is limiting what the healthcare system can do with a very common cold for a young, healthy person. And you're right, you want the symptoms to go away, you feel miserable. And a lot of that stuff is just treated at home, just treated with at-home remedies. But I mean, you never want to encourage someone not to go to the emergency department. But the truth is, the vast majority of things, especially with a viral infection, with a common cold, with the influenza A or B, majority of those you're treating at home, unless you do have the really significant symptoms. If you have your fever's 39, 40 degrees, you've had a fever longer than 3 days, that's pretty significant. If you can't eat or drink, you can't hold anything down, you're dehydrated, those are things that you can't treat at home, right? So those are things absolutely you need to go to the emergency department for. But kids, on the other hand, like I said, they don't have that immune system. They can get pretty sick from a pretty simple thing that you or I don't get too sick from. And you're following the same kind of rules for kids. So if you've had a fever longer than 3 days, or kids can get really high fevers, like an adult to have a fever of 40 degrees, that's pretty high. For a kid, 39, 40, like 41, I've seen 42 in a kid, and they get so hot. And with kids, the problem with the fever, worst case scenario, is if they have that fever for too long and it gets too hot, they can have what's called a febrile seizure. So you have a seizure because your fever is so high. And as terrifying as that is for parents, they typically don't have a second febrile seizure, which is this very weird phenomenon. You have one and done. But at that point, it's just about cooling the kid, bringing their temperature down. Standard Tylenol and Advil. So Tylenol and Advil, you can each take them every 4 hours. So the good thing to do with a kid, if they've been running a high fever, is you stagger them every 2 hours. So Advil, 2 hours later Tylenol, 2 hours later Advil, 2 hours later Tylenol.
I'm curious, Travis, because we're always laughing and people are always easy to say, well, just stay home. But workplaces, schools want you just to stay home. They're a little clearer. Hey, man, get out of here. Don't come take the time off. Oh, by the way, bring a note. Workplace is kind of the same thing, but we tend to, workplaces don't mention that. Don't talk about being sick. Yeah, but it's cold and flu. Shh, because they've got to coordinate staffing. These are the things that must really frustrate people in the health field, because a lot of times that's all we can do is stay home, rest it, stop passing it on, stop dirtying up the doorknobs. I understand there's a lot of time you're sick before you really realize, and you're handing it around to people. What's the schools of thought? What are the dream wishes of people in the healthcare? Is it really stay home, especially if you're concerned, come in, of course, but if you're sure, you're pretty confident, cold, flu, stay home, don't be sneaking into work?
Yeah, it's funny, in my bathroom at work, there's like a sign of like when you should stay home and when you shouldn't, and it's like, you're right, it's a really nuanced thing where you're sick. Am I so sick that I shouldn't go to work? Or should I stay home? I need to get paid, or there's childcare. There's all these things to worry about. And again, it's always a really tightrope of walking between trying to discourage someone from going to the hospital and ensuring they go when they should go. And as a nurse, you never discourage someone to not go to the hospital. But really the emergency department is really for treating those emergencies, but you do get the people that are, you're uncomfortable, you feel gross, you're sick, you're snotty, and can you fix me? I'm like, I can only give you Tylenol. That's all we can do. Your oxygen's okay. There's nothing else that we're concerned about. It's keeping down your fever. And what you said about being sick before you're sick, and that was really the scary thing with COVID was your typical influenza has a 24-hour incubation period, which means from the time that you have symptoms, you're contagious for 24 hours. Whereas COVID, and I mean, they never really nailed down an exact date. Maybe it's changed. It was somewhere between 5 to 10 days. So you could have been contagious for 5 to 10 days, 7 days, whatever they landed on, before you actually knew you were sick. And so you're going to work and you feel fine and you're like, everything's fine, and you're snotting up the doorknobs and everything and getting everyone sick. And then all of a sudden a week later, you're like sicker than a dog, and so is half the staff around. So it really is like, if you are actively sick, if you have a fever, if you feel crappy, stay home. Give it a day. It's usually 24 hours after symptoms start that you are no longer contagious with just your average cough and cold.
So you talked about Advil and Tylenol, kind of the stay-at-home way of keeping track of what's going on, especially when it comes to fevers. How about other at-home remedies? I'm a big fan of at-home remedies and just like immune-boosting things or soothing things, and like lemon and honey and garlic and ginger and all these other things. But as a nurse, are you going to debunk any of this? Or are you going to encourage any of it?
Especially stuff that makes you feel better too. Like you said, the soothing things are really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I know some people swear by their garlic. They'll be like, as soon as something's wrong, eat some garlic.
Dude, I have an elixir. I can tell you.
Grandparents,
so good.
And besides that, Ben, and if you go to work, no one will come near you because, oh God.
Exactly. Yeah. Keep them away anyways. I don't know if I can debunk garlic because I think I would upset a lot of people if I said anything about that. But honey is actually a great remedy for kids up to over a year. Once a kid's over a year, you can use honey. It's great for soothing the throat. It is soothing as well. So it's just kind of one of those things that makes you feel nice. Hydration is always the number one important thing, especially when you have a fever. You're hot. Your body's metabolism is up. You're burning through a bunch of water. You'll dry out really quick. Staying hydrated is important. And a lot of people, sometimes you get to vomiting and diarrhea with it too. You need to hydrate. With that hydration comes your electrolytes. Vitamin C is a key immune boosting vitamin. A lot of people like to supplement vitamin C when they're sick or to prevent being sick. Vitamin C is another great one. People can use humidifiers. Sometimes when you got that really dry cough and your chest really hurts, humidifiers are great. I remember when I was a kid being really sick, my mom would take me into the bathroom, crank the shower up on hot all the way, and just breathe in that warm steam. That warm moisture. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all those home remedies that we already know. That a lot of them are great. Honey, everybody's got that like secret recipe, that lemon water, tea, those things that actually just soothe you. If you can relax and feel good and be comfortable and get a good night's sleep, it's going to be the best thing for you.
Yeah. Once you got past all those ones that were horrible smelling, tasting, or whatever that they used to give, like, make sure you take your cod liver oil. I remember friends too telling me that if they caught something like chicken pox or whatever, the parents would go on, so-and-so hasn't had them, go over and play with so-and-so. You'd be 12 years old because it was better for you to get it as a child than as an adult, of course. But these were the theories that, I don't think anyone recommends go do that now, even though you may say, yeah, it's better to have something like that at 14 versus, 12, let's say, versus 25.
Yeah, chickenpox is one of those where you get a lifelong immunity, where you get it one time in your lifelong immunity. So they wanted you to get it out of the way early when you're a kid. So I remember I was born in the 80s, so we had chickenpox parties where the neighbor kid has all the kids who don't have it are going to go hang out with them.
Oh my gosh.
But Travis, does it increase your chance of shingles? Because people often try to link the two together.
Yes, so it's the same virus, the zoster virus, the herpes zoster virus, I believe is its full name. Same virus. So it stays dormant in the body. So once you've had chickenpox the first time, you have that lifelong immunity, which we can all hope for with vaccines and that sort of stuff. Is that for sure thing. So yes, once you have shingles, you have the herpes zoster virus lives in your body. And I believe it's 30% of adults. I actually got shingles when I was 16, which was a horrible experience. But so what happens is the virus comes out from nerve endings in your spinal cord. I'm describing it slightly wrong, but you get inflammation in the nerves from your spinal cord that actually like come to the skin, and they kind of leave these like blistery boil things, and they live on it's called dermatomes. So you have your spinal cord, and there's all these like different levels of your spinal cord, and so when you get shingles, it actually presents on a specific level of your spinal cord because that's where the virus is actually living, I guess. And so it can be triggered by stress, decreased immune system, other illnesses. It typically happens when people are older, over 50, over 60 is when you're going to see people with shingles. You can get it young. I did get it young. But yes, you can't get shingles if you haven't already had chickenpox.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Travis. I know I took us down that direction. Thank you so much for fielding that. And congratulations. Thank you for doing the first segment with us. Hey. Absolutely wonderful.
I was a little nervous, but it went well. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Looking forward to talking again. Thanks, Travis. We'll catch you next month. Boy, some great conversation with Travis there. Really always love when we get that kind of advice and information. I had chicken pox at about 14. Went to my doctor. Went home. He wasn't sure what was going on with me. The next morning, my mom saw him as I broke out in it and said, "These are chicken pox." Got a hold of my doctor, and his response was, and I kid you not, "Well, I'm sorry, but I've never seen chicken pox on a black person before."
Oh,
that was his response. And at that point, I said to my mother, "I need to switch doctors." And he was a tremendous doctor in a lot of ways.
So weird.
Oh, weird. And I don't know how much was just his sarcastic kind of sense of humor or how much was for real. And I wasn't sticking around.
Oh, okay.
My mom and dad believe 100% he meant it.
I think
my mom lost it.
Like,
my mom lost it. Yeah, it was one of the weirdest and most uncomfortable things. And, you talk about your faith getting shaken. Wow. Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah.
You guys have
like
had
when you go to the doctors and you get ableism. Oh, I've had chickenpox before, but was way too young to realize it. But I think my parents did what Travis was talking about: just get all the kids together and be like, "Come on, guys, run around, hug each other, so you can spread it."
Good.
Oh my
They were terrified.
Nazreen, were you invited to
I
one of those
stayed in
parties?
bed. Yeah, I had chickenpox when I was, but my sister still didn't get it, and I heard that the older you get, the harder it gets.
Tough.
It's gonna be brutal for her.
Yeah, well, hope to gosh not. Like it is awful.
Sounds like
hopefully the vaccines. Yeah, hopefully the vaccines are taking care of all this. It does, doesn't it? You kind of like, wait. And Nazreen's waiting, sort of like me. And
she beat
Nazreen,
me in
does that mean
Monopoly
you're gonna
last
play
night.
sick?
I'm still petty.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna wish chickenpox on her.
So you're wishing chickenpox on her?
No.
I'll show you.
Of course not. Wink, wink.
Yeah. I hope she watches you on here with the greatest smile at all as she gets out her. And I hope she gets her voodoo doll out and starts poking it, her Nazreen voodoo doll, and fixes you.
So let's toss out our voodoo dolls, huh? Let's see. Make that a PSA.
Got rid of those. Come on.
Those are
folks.
creepy.
You can drop messages to us. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. You can send an email. kellyco@ami.ca is the address to send to. And, of course, give us a call. 1-866-509-4545. That's 1-866-509-4545. We'd love to hear from you.
Art is getting cooler and cooler, and I feel like I'm very much not doing what's the coolest kind of art anymore. Ryan Rosario creates art that is as beautiful as it is interesting to look at, and we're going to learn more about it. It's very detailed, it's specific, and often it tells its own story. So you want to know what kind of art he does? He does it with his mouth. It's called mouth painting. Ryan's joining us from his home in Connecticut in the USA, and he's here to tell us all about mouth painting. Ryan, it's nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
We're really looking forward to this because I don't think I've ever spoken to a mouth painter before. So what's your artistic style before we get into the ins and outs of what mouth painting is?
So as you see behind me, I go for a lot of colors, vibrant colors. And right now what I'm trying to do is wean off of cartoony, vibrant, colory type of stuff. And now I'm trying to go into like more photorealism.
Okay, so how long have you done mouth painting then for you to say like you're transitioning styles a little?
okay, it's been about 4 years that I discovered that I can mouth paint.
Wow.
Okay. Can you describe for us a little bit about the process for you in your circumstance once you discovered it and said, "Hey, I can do this"? What's the kind of things that made you realize? First of all, hearing about it, I guess, and can you tell us what it's like, what your process is?
All right, so pretty much when I first started, I'm a quadriplegic, so I have mobility in my arms, but I don't have mobility in my hands. So the first couple of paintings that I did, I kind of did it by pinching a paintbrush into my brace, and I kind of was drawing and painting. I did a couple of abstract things. Then I saw a mouth painter on YouTube, and I was like, "Hey, I think I could do that." And I had artistic ability before me becoming a quadriplegic, and I pretty much just mimicked what the guy did, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow. I'm
Is it?
curious of, Rum, just let me slip this in because, I mean, I, when you talk about having the talent, the ability, the experience, any way you want to put it, like you just did, and then you have the situation that's happened, your disability, and things change 100%. And a lot of people will say, well, I can no longer do this, or I can no longer do that. Like you said, you had no idea you could do this. Can I ask, in your mind, how much of your natural talent ability do you feel this comes into play with this new form that you have picked up? Again, a lot of us pick something up, we dabble with it, we may discover we have a talent, but you knew beforehand, you know what, I grasp this, I understand this, and how much is just the knowledge of doing it versus your absolute virtual talent that you know you have?
Well, I was very talented before, I can say, but I wasn't as talented as I am now. In the past 4 years, I've learned how to develop technique, and I've learned how to use paint. Like before, I was more of like a drawer, and now I just pretty much have learned how to use and manipulate the paint, how to mix colors, how to color match, how to do a lot of cool things.
Right, and things that you just didn't know before, and then you've just progressed from there with that all basic knowledge because you had the ability. That's amazing. Thank you for answering that.
Is it a lot of a solo process for you, or do you do a lot of talking to other people, getting other people's perspectives and opinions on how things are going? You said that the influence was another YouTuber who was mouth painting, right?
Yeah, but it's a lot of solo process. I have a lot of different friends that are artists, and sometimes I just call them or I FaceTime them, and I just or I send them videos or pictures just to see what's their perspective on it. And thank God that a lot of my friends are completely honest. They tell me, listen, you need more work, or they don't actually see my disability as like a crutch.
Right.
They see it as,
Yep.
I'm not going to judge you as a disabled mouth painter. I'm going to judge you as an artist. And honestly, work with this and this and this, or you're doing amazing.
What
Is
was
there
it
any
like?
limitation? Like what you're doing
Yeah.
now, is there any limitation that you would know of, that you would speak of, that, like you said, they're not judging you. They're basing it on, do I like this piece of work? Did you do this right?
Right.
I noticed the strokes here. Would you feel where you're at right now, yeah, but I wish, or I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again due to my circumstance?
Doing larger scale pieces, because right now the
Right.
biggest piece that I can do is probably like a 36 by 40, which is still a pretty large piece, 'cause it's like
Yes.
3.5, 4 feet. But I would like to do like murals and stuff like that. Because that obviously that's where people contract you a lot much more, and that's where the money is.
Yes.
So like as soon as we heard that, we're going to have a mouth painter on the show, we were like psyched, right? This is awesome. What you do is so cool. Is there still a lot of trying to get people to buy in to what you do, or do you find that your stuff is just out there because people are like, this is great, this is interesting?
That's the hard part, honestly, to like get people to. Obviously, it's called struggling artists for a reason, because most artists
Yeah.
are struggling.
Yes.
The hardest part is to try to get your paintings to get sold. Every now and then, it's kind of like hit or miss. Sometimes people will hire you to do a personal canvas. Sometimes, see, because like right now, I don't only do art on canvases only. I do a variety. My hashtag is anything is a canvas, because I don't want to be conformed only into doing paintings on canvases. I do sneakers. I do custom hats. I do anything that you could picture, skateboards, customize your PlayStation, anything. So for me to try to get myself out there a little bit more, that's how I started customizing other things besides just canvases.
That's amazing.
Kelly hears you.
Yeah, I do, as I tap my fedora, folks. Ryan, when it comes to that and supports, tell us if you're asked, hey, I want my PlayStation done, or if Ryan, I'm flipping a fedora to you. Is there anything that you need, any other supports, equipment, people? How do you have any special, something you throw that hat on, or a stand or anything like that? How do you manipulate and work around to be able to do these things? I know each project you probably have to look at and take it one at a time and individualize it.
Pretty much I got a drafting table, and if it's a canvas, I can lean it towards me, and I could continue painting right there and drawing there. Or if it's some sneakers or anything like that, I could put it down as a regular table, and I would have to reach over towards it, because things get a little bit complicated not being able to use your hands.
Right.
So sometimes it's just like I have to map out how am I going to do this before I even try to do it. Like this year, I painted my first skateboard, which was a big challenge for me because of the shape of the skateboard. One side isn't flat. So every time I was trying to draw and paint on it, it kept rocking. So I just figured that maybe putting a small box underneath it, and prevent it from rocking, and it actually elevated it a little bit more, so that way I could reach it more easier.
Do you have a project that you're most proud of?
Actually, the one that I'm doing right now, I'm doing a picture of two children, and this thing is coming out so amazing, because once again, I'm trying to wean off of just colorful, bright, vibrant, cartoony, and I want to tap more into like more photorealism. And honestly, the way it's coming out is looking exactly like the picture, and I'm surprising myself.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. How about tools? Like for doing the different projects, as a mouth painter, is there anything we should know about your painting gear that you use?
Well, like I said before, I have a drafting table, and this thing is so important for me. It's been the biggest purchase there. Actually, my mom got it for me, because before I was painting on a table, which I had to reach over and down and kind of paint towards, and now it's upright, and I can just paint like on I guess like on a regular angle, how everybody else paints.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. How long do you go? Like if you start, do you go for hours, or do you have to take many breaks? What's the process like?
How did you build up your endurance?
Pretty much it will take me like, the painting that I've been working on right now has been taking me about like 40 hours right now so far. So each day, after I start up my morning, and I do everything that I have to do, I pretty much just like have somebody set me up where they take out my paintbrushes, my water, my paint, and set me up. And on my iPad, I put the reference on there, and then I just start painting. And sometimes it takes me, honestly, I take little breaks here and there, but most of the day, it could take me probably like 8 hours during the day.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That's a full time.
Oh yeah, and I know you'd love more work like that, to be kept busy every day like that, making the money. Speaking of that, how do people reach out to you if they have things such as like you said, the skateboard, anything like that they would like done? What would be the best way to get in touch with you to kind of put in that order and say, hey, can you do something with this?
Okay, they can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok under @the_ mouth painter. And you could shoot me an inbox and we could discuss prices, what type of vision you have, and I love to watch people's visions come true.
Yeah. Must be pretty powerful to make them come true when people talk to you. It would be to me like having a bunch of your work at a show in an art gallery or a place where people can come and buy, and them stopping to talk to you and either pitching ideas or just asking questions about the content that you've had. Have you had any experiences where that has been a joy? I mean, obviously everything you give people and they're satisfied, they must have the most wonderful things to say, as you say, letting them see what their vision was come true. But has that been a situation where you've been able to sell a few pieces at a gallery or anything?
Yes, actually, I've been hosted in about like 3 local galleries here, and this summer I actually opened a pop-up shop here in my town where I was trying to promote other local small businesses, and we had the local radio station come over, and I got a lot of sales there. I pretty much sold out on everything that I had there.
Oh, nice.
And I got a couple of customers who, pitched out a few ideas. And when I immediately, from the ideas that they gave me, I started just brainstorming. I was like, okay, so we're going to go this way, this way, and this way. And they were like, listen, I just want this idea, and you could take creative control, and that's when my artwork comes out way better, when I have the control where my mind could just go and just like vision, like take your vision and turn it into my vision and create art.
That's so cool. Nice.
Wow.
That's a very collaborative mindset. I really appreciate that. Ryan, thank you so much. Kelly's starting a campaign very soon for the original Ryan Rosario fedora. So we will look forward to catching up with you when that's in works.
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Take care.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Good luck. Take care,
too.
man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ryan Rosario was joining us from Connecticut, and you can find him on Facebook to check out his mouth painting, as well as get your own collaboration in with him at The Mouth Painter. That's on Facebook.
He was so open with us. Like, I mean, you felt like you could ask anything, and he would do his best to try to explain and bring us closer to the process, to the experience of it. And I know myself, when you get in a situation, you talk to somebody, you kind of hesitate because you think, is this okay to ask, or is this appropriate to ask? And as hosts, you want to go there. We hope we're asking the things you're wondering out there as an audience. It's amazing how generous guests are with their honesty and openness and transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also cool to just talk to someone who's kind of still figuring out how they're doing it, right? Like, he's right now in the middle of going from cartoons-ish, or like the way he did mouth painting, to trying out new things and being experimental, which I guess is the lifelong journey of an artist, right? But and also the getting paid more and getting more people involved kind of thing. So it's nice to have these candid conversations on that level.
Yeah, I just think it's just so great that you get a chance to and I know, I mean, and I'm sure for him, when he didn't know, could I be doing this? And about the other people out there, I did want to know how much of a network of mouth painters are there around the world that they show each other stuff, they give advisement, but it sounds like he's got his own, whether it's somebody local, other artists who have no problem saying, oh man, you're lacking in this, or it looks washed out, or whatever. And I think that is just so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have friends. It's like, the people closest to you who can give you constructive feedback and who've known you forever, right? So they can kind of tell, because he's done painting before becoming a quadriplegic. So it's nice to have people who've known him before and known him now and who can help him through the journey. And I'm sure that it's much more frustrating. Like, it's not all great days and you don't always want to get the feedback that you do. But it's helpful.
I love the honesty. I just love it that they'll tell him, no, that's crap. Don't get that out of, don't be doing that one. Oh, don't try it. I wouldn't buy that. I just love that he was so open in that, because we talk about it all the time. As an artist, I want you to tell me, oh, no, man, you're flat there, or they what's going on with you? How come you're not putting the right feeling into delivering those lines? That's what we all want. Remember to check out our podcast from your platform of choice. You can find us. Just look for Kelly and Company, and we'd appreciate it if you have time to give us a rating and review. Would you also subscribe? Thank you to the people out there who have subscribed to the YouTube page. I've noticed a few more subscribers, and anytime anyone gets some time to give us a comment, we always want it. We always want to know what we could be doing better. Always love to know you're out there, and get your thoughts, please. In January, we talked about starting the year off right, and it feels like as January moves along, we've been doing this for a while. But what if we are in a space in our homes that no longer sparks joy for us? How can we do some updating that won't empty our bank account? Stacie Steadman knows all the tricks out there to do that. And she's even got this very unique and interesting approach, the hunter-gatherer approach to design. Stacie, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us here on Kelly and Company.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, we're going to get into a few things as you join myself, Niz, and Ramya. Why is it important to do a room redecoration every now and then?
Well, there's nothing that can weigh us down than being in the same space all the time, having it, like you say, not spark that joy for us anymore. So there really is an element of energy that can be brought into a space when we redecorate, when we reorganize, when we shift things about. It can just give a new purpose to an object that perhaps we've overlooked for some time. And I remember being a kid and coming home and my mom having rearranged the furniture and feeling like all of a sudden we lived in a new house. So there's something about that just keeps us energized, keeps us interested, keeps us... Go ahead.
Do you run into in time people who you've almost kind of have to twist the arm of to make that change versus the people that just seem to want to move everything around all the time, and if they had the money and finances, they'd upgrade their place every 4 or 5 months?
Absolutely. I'm that person. I would change my house every day. Yep. My husband is not that person.
Yep. I can totally relate. Yes. I bring a new throw.
Those people come together.
Yeah. I bring a new throw or a pillow and my husband's like, we have that. And I'm like, it's nice to change it up a bit. We can switch them around. There's no problem. Yeah. A fake plant, same thing. I'll bring a new fake plant, but we already have that. But it's nice to switch up the colors. Fake plant.
This is the stunt double. That's all. This is for when the other one's being cleaned.
No, I love change. It's really refreshing sometimes, and you just feel more cozy, and it just boosts your mood sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And for me, sometimes there is a lot of us, I live in Vancouver, a lot of us live in very small spaces. There's not a lot you can do when you have a couch, when you have a dining table, when you have a TV. That's kind of all the space you have. So in my home, I'm constantly eking out every square inch I can. I'm always trying to use every nook. I have constant changes, this evolution of this home. We've lived in this place for 5 years now, and it never looks the same way twice.
Okay.
What is it? Break it down for us, that hunter-gatherer approach to, what are we saying, home decor? What is it the approach of, and what is it?
Absolutely. So this has been my go-to way of doing everything in my life, my lifestyle, really, since I can remember. A lot of it has to do with budget, keeping things cost effective. I am constantly thrifting. I go to the thrift store twice a week, if I'm being honest. I'm happiest in an aisle full of junk. I love my local Buy Nothing group. I love coming across something that somebody else has no purpose for, and then I can adopt that into my life and give it new purpose. So the hunter-gatherer comes from constantly being on the lookout for what it is. My style, my aesthetic has evolved from this idea of, I don't know what it is until I see it. So my world is put together in a very eclectic way. It's put together in a very organic way. My personal motto is, the thrift store provides. Sometimes I walk in, I don't know what I'm looking for, and then I see it, and I'm like, oh, that's it.
It speaks to you. So does
Absolutely.
that, when it does change, does it change with a consistency? Or when it changes, could we visit and, oh, you have this, you have that? Is there, I mean, obviously, I'm going to assume you don't want stuff clashing or looking totally, wow, that's really out of place here. But I also can imagine that you look at something, say, I like that. When I used to go out with my mother as a kid and into my teen years, she loved doing that. Loved going out, looking at stuff, and looked sometimes just for the bargain. So she was a big yard sale person. And then along come the bed bugs, and that kind of killed that. But it was that looking. It was part of the enjoyment and fun, and the items spoke to her.
Absolutely. There is certainly a through line when it comes to my aesthetic or my style. And I think anyone who does like to switch things up, who does like to decorate, there's always going to be an element that does stay the same. Maybe you're just switching up the colors. Maybe you're going from bright colors to more muted tones. But if the person is being true to themselves, there's always going to be something you can recognize. So in my home, for instance, those basic elements will always stay the same, but I might have them displayed slightly differently. I might have something grouped together in an unusual way that maybe hasn't been there before. I might have something reupholstered, or a new lamp added just to illuminate something that perhaps wasn't as noticeable before.
Nazreen, is that you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't change up the big furniture. You don't have to change up the big furniture, obviously, because that's costly. So you think of the little things. We just moved the bed, and it's a completely different room to me. So it's just the little things, adding a little bit of different color here. I added some green in the past couple weeks, so that was nice and refreshing to me. It's those little changes that matter. It's not even about the big change. And as you said, my space is really small. It's a couch, it's the countertop, and that's pretty much it. I have a coffee table and the bed in the next room. So there's not much to change, but you could add a little bit of like greenery here, different colors here, and it makes a big difference to me.
So
a lot
can
of
I
us
ask,
are in renting situations where we can't switch up things as easily. We can't put in a new backsplash because we want a kitchen update. So you do have to get creative with those changes. You have to think more temporary solutions. Yeah.
But how about those of us who are not inspired? Like, if we don't, I know both of you mentioned your husbands earlier. I gotta say, for me as well, because I'm a minimalist, so I don't have the spark of like, hey, I want to switch things around, or I want to add more of this or less of that. So where can I like start? Because I love the sentiment of this, honestly.
I don't feel like I feel like I'm a minimalist too. I don't have a lot of junk. It's just the changing the little things here and there. I'm telling you, I have like basically
You just swap out one pillow for another.
Exactly. Adding another throw. I have so many throws, and my husband always asks, like, we have like 3-4 throws, and I'm like, you can't have enough. But it's I still find myself to be a minimalist. Like, you don't have to have a lot of junk to be inspired.
Yeah, or a lot of stuff out. Maybe texture too is a different thing, right? You can change one texture for another, and that'll feel different.
Yeah,
absolutely. Especially if texture for me is really important. When I'm out in a thrift shop, ever since I was a kid, I have been able to identify something that is well made versus something that is not as durable, just through the way it feels. I can feel when something is wool versus when something is acrylic, when something is linen versus something that's polyester. There's something about bringing in more organic pieces, more things that have like a warmth or that comfiness factor that so many of us want in our homes, that comes with just our basic senses. When you asked about where to start, when you're asking about where to start, those are things you can ask yourself. What do I want to be surrounded by? What gives me inspiration? Maybe it's plants. Maybe it's something sentimental, like photographs of your family. Maybe it's cozy throws that make you feel good on a cold day. And you can build off of that. And then you can start to give yourself touchstones. You know, I really want to have, when I walk into the room, I want to feel that sense of coziness, or I want to feel that sense of being refreshed. I want to come in and feel like my day is behind me, and now I'm in this this oasis for myself.
Wow. If you're Ramya and a minimalist, you just want that feel of plaster around you. Oh, the drywall. Tell us about some of this. Exactly. I feel it. How about your favorite DIY projects that you've been doing, Stacie, over the time?
Well, I work a lot in found objects. So my favorite one that I've come up with so far, last week I picked up a shoe cabinet. Now these are common things. I've actually got one right behind me. They tilt out these cupboard drawers, and so you tip them forward, put your shoes in, tuck them away. They're very useful in tight spaces because they're very narrow. They're more narrow and space saving than a traditional cabinet or chest of drawers, for instance. And so somebody in my local Buy Nothing group, which if you're not familiar with the Buy Nothing group, people in a neighborhood will get together, post things in an online forum to say, I have this cabinet that I don't need anymore, or I have a plant that's nearly dead. Can someone save it? And people will come forward and claim these objects from one another. Wow. And they came in very prominently during the pandemic, and they've been a full lifeline for me. I absolutely love my Buy Nothing group. Anyway, shoe cabinet came up, and it was covered in her daughter's Taylor Swift stickers. It had 2 broken hinges. The plastic lamination on top had come away in certain spots, and it had paint on it. Now, most people will look at this and say, oh, this is garbage, throw away. Yeah. I look at that and I say, this is still an object that has use, that has purpose. And if it is taken care of properly, then it can have a greater life to it. So I brought it home, I cleaned it up, I took off all those Taylor Swift stickers. Oh,
don't be saying that. That's sacrilege. Oh, you'll have people out there mad. Oh, no.
The Swifties are coming to attack.
They'll want those stickers. They'll want all those stickers.
I know. I tried to save them. I really did. I painted the discolored parts with chalkboard paint that can be written on so you can tell anyone what's in each drawer. I covered some of the other spots in contact paper. I glued the plastic broken bits. It was a lot of work, but it's what I enjoy doing if it means that I can continue to use something. And so now it's at my front door. We've got wallets and umbrellas and all sorts of things stored there. And it didn't cost me anything except my time. And now we have a useful piece in our home that we'll be able to use for years to come.
Wow, Stacie, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us, sharing with us everything. You know, this is wonderful. So many ideas, so few rooms. Well, for sure in Ramya's place. Nazreen's looking for that mansion out there if anyone's giving it away, so she can, you know, keep the pillows and so on instead of trading them out. Cool. Thanks a lot, Stacie Steadman, for joining us, designer out there in Vancouver, giving us some wonderful tips on self-care that benefits through our spaces that we spend time in every day. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. Niz, Rum, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you guys later on, and you folks out there on our next program. Cinnamon, jalapenos, saffron. Well, if this puzzle doesn't make sense to you, arts and culture contributor to the show, Amy Amanti, shares the hot gossip. We'll find out what it's all about. Artist Dion Fletcher is set on bringing a group of people to create a new public art installation at the Miss Kinlaw Community Complex in Peterborough. We'll unpack that process on the show next here on Kelly & Company.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly & Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.